Hey everyone, welcome back to Motivational Mondays with Morgan. I'm excited for the podcast today because I'm going to be talking about why I think parents make great employees. So I myself am a working parent. I work with a lot of other working parents, and I've also watched a lot of my employees become parents over time. And I really want to break the stigma that working parents are not productive, or working mothers, once they become pregnant, are a burden to the company. No, they are a blessing to the company, and I'm going to explain why. And so the first thing I want to talk about is 5 reasons why I think parents make great employees. And I just want to say before I get into it that if you're not a parent, I am by no means saying that you're not also a great employee. But there's a big stigma out there that I want to just debunk today. So 5 reasons why I think this. Number 1, I believe that parents are more productive. Why do I think that? Because they have to accomplish a lot in a window of time, because when they go home at night, they don't have as much, free time, and they need to make sure that they're efficient and they're productive with their time when they have it. Like when they're not with their kids or when kids are taking a nap. They know that that window of time is so precious, and so those time management skills and that productivity to me has increased becoming a parent, because I got to work in those pockets and those windows when I know I have that time. So I think that translates into the office setting very, very well. Number 2, great multitaskers. If you're a mother or a father, you are likely managing 1, 2, 3, maybe more kids' schedules along with your schedule, and sometimes along with your spouse's schedule. And so you have multiple and conflicting priorities, and a lot of the times you got to be thinking about multiple things. So multitasking is something that I think I've mastered it. I'm not going to lie. I'm a great multitasker. I can be, thinking about something, calling somebody at the same time, texting somebody, knocking out an email. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but it works for me. And multitasking is an essential thing if you want to get a lot done in a day and still not sacrifice being a parent and being a good employee and growing your career. Number 3 is empathy. Empathetic employees are so, so important. And I believe that when you start to have a family, you start to have different perspectives in life. You have empathy towards other parents in your office, or you have empathy towards the way that you communicate, the way that you show up every single day, right? You have different outlooks on your life. And so I think empathy is something that I have gained over time with the help of my children and watching other people have families and giving them more empathy and grace of, understanding what that means to have multiple and conflicting priorities at times. Number 4, better time management skills. Kind of already touched on this a little bit when I talked about productivity, but I'm just going to go a little bit deeper. Like I said, sometimes you're managing multiple schedules, right? You're managing your work life, your home life, what your kids' sports schedules look like, or your kids' school schedules and all the things that need to happen. And so, like I said, when you have those pockets of time, it is so important that you're efficient and effective with that time and you don't waste it. And so I think that makes you a disciplined person, because you learn what you say yes to, what you say no to, and how you're really going to spend those 24 hours a day when you're at work for 8 hours or whatever your schedule looks like, and then when you're home, and what do the different pockets look like. And time management skills is essential, and that's why I feel that skill comes with parenthood and therefore translates into your office, and you become you help other people with time management skills and make sure that the time you have at the office is the most productive. And that helps the company, right? Because you want employees that are able to produce things for the company's betterment. And so that's a skill that I've seen in myself and other working parents. And last one is they're more likely to be in touch with the world, and they're willing to research a lot of things. If you're a mother, only because I can say that, fathers too, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the fathers, but I have researched so many things when it comes to my children, right? Especially with my daughter Cameron, my first. I think I was on Google every single day. Probably not the best thing, but I was constantly researching. I was getting resourceful because I didn't know all the things about being a mom. I had to learn so much. I've had to learn so much about being a boy mom or having multiple kids. And so the research side of me translates very much into how I go to work, right? If I don't know something, I am going to get resourceful. I'm going to go research it. And so that is something that I think is important for everybody, parents or not, is that we have so much information at our fingertips. And a lot of the times when you're a parent, you need that information now, right? Oh, my kids are showing these symptoms. What's going on? I am constantly researching it, right? And I need to know right now. I'm not waiting on somebody else to teach me that. I'm going to go find that information out myself. And therefore, if you have that attitude when you go into work, you become a very great employee because you are proactive in learning new things. You're proactive in getting the information that you need to do your job well. So those are the 5 traits that I feel is very much transferable from parenthood to your career and becoming a great employee for your office. So one way to support working parents or any of your employees that want to become parents is to offer a workplace that is full of incentives, that promotes that loyalty, so you can have that employee long term through the life cycle of their career. Number 1 is paid parental leave. I know this is very tough on small business owners. I've been there, and I still have opportunity to give more of that paid parental leave, but continuing to always dive into what that looks like every year as your business grows is so, so important. So what does that look like for the mothers and for the fathers, and what's that time off that they get? Obviously, protected leave is so important, and that their job is going to be there when they want to come back, from having a baby, but how can you support them during that time? So it is an exciting time for them and not a stressful time for them. So your parental leave policies are very, very important to look into. Number 2 is a family-friendly company culture. If you've ever walked into Burn HQ headquarters, you may see my children running around, or you may see other children running around. And listen, I'm not saying that we are a daycare center and that we let all of the kids come to work, but it's a culture where, hey, if my kids do need to come in, or maybe they just want to come in and see what we're doing, it's important that that is absolutely acceptable. My kids, I've had to teach them a couple times that they can't be so loud in the office and that they're distracting them, but that's my kids. But no, I love that sense of, we even let dogs in the office sometimes, right? Like, those are people's babies too. It's just opening up that environment to say, hey, we want to know about your family. I want to learn who your kids are. I would love to meet them. I want them to see where you work. I want them to be proud of where you work. Because I think that's one of the best things in life, is that you can love your job and you can be proud of your job, and your kids can see that on your face when you come home from work, and that also you're excited to bring them into your area and have them be excited and learn from you as well. So family-friendly company culture, a safe space for working parents, okay? Do you have an area where mothers can go and nurse? Okay, that's important as they come back from maternity leave. Do they have a place where they can safely nurse and store breast milk, and that's encouraged and that's supported? And flexibility. What does flexibility look like? Obviously, when you have kids, they get sick. They have doctor's appointments. They have things at school that you don't want to miss as a parent. And so finding ways to allow that flexibility and not be so rigid in what that looks like for a parent. I get to go and leave and go see my daughter in a play at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, maybe I come back to work. I want to give my employees that same opportunity and that flexibility around how you can be productive, but you can still not miss the things that are important in your life. So I think it's a delicate balance, and it certainly is dependent on the industry that you're in sometimes and the actual job that you have. But I would really take a step back and not be so rigid in these guidelines, and really allow you to work with your employees, give them that trust that they can have that flexibility and make those decisions that supports their family. So those are my 3 tips to make sure that you are creating an environment that working parents want to be at. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Make sure that you subscribe so you never miss a Motivational Monday, and we'll talk to you later. 2 claps on 2.